interactive. So just.
Yes, just taking a second to organize that with the.
Yeah, it's okay. Just
that logistics. So it should be.
Yeah, last chance to relax and calm down.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will be very high speed.
Okay, we're now theoretically live on YouTube. It should have been fine. I think we still have. So you admitted others. So welcome to all of you. We're live with TEDxPlattsburgh, a live stream from the TED Countdown event. I'm Stephane Bilodeau, co-founder of Smart Phases, Inc., based in Plattsburgh, New York. And I'm one of the two co-hosts of this event with my colleague, Dr. Basak. So Ayse.
Yeah, me, Ayse, leadership development and well-being coach as the co-host.
So we have the great pleasures to be with you today for this countdown event, together with our distinguished panelists, which we'll introduce shortly. So as you know, we're in the second week of the COP26 in Scotland, and climate change is at the center of our event today indeed. But we will also talk about another question: what is impact? So a hidden power, a greener, a fairer, a healthy for a greener and a healthier world. But first, I want to say that this is done under the TED umbrella. So Countdown, TED Countdown is a nonprofit global initiative to champion and accelerate solution to the climate crisis, turning ideas into action, a key word, action here. The Countdown goal is to build a better future by cutting greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030. So that's the goal in the race to a zero carbon world, a world that is safer, cleaner, and fairer for everyone. Yes, everyone, each and every one of us has a pivotal role to leave anyone behind, not to leave, sorry, anyone behind for this better future. The key here is to unlock and take the persistent actions and keep on them towards the goal. Not just words, but action. And it's because we're entering in a critical decade of this climate action that at TEDxPlattsburgh today we'll exchange with our outstanding panel about impact. But let me give you an overview of our panel, a quick overview. We'll talk further with them later on. So we have Ana Gómez from Wellbeing Economy Alliance from Spain. We have Cihan Urhan, manager at TSKB, the Turkey bank from Turkey indeed. Dr. CJ Palmer, founder and CEO of Sustainable Impact. He's also a singer and a songwriter. We'll hear one of his songs later on. We have Divya Singhal, the chairperson of the Center for Social Sensitivity in Action, CSSA, from Goa in India. We have Nicky, managing director at Chronos Sustainability from England. We have Renahan, corporate and public affairs and ESG expert from the greater Sao Paulo area. And we have Roshan, Kindred, chief diversity officer at PagerDuty from California. So welcome all. Outstanding panel, as I said. Great to have you here today. Ayse, you might want to share with us some insights on the agenda itself and on what impact is.
Thank you, Stephane. And again, welcome all. Welcome to our panelists and all participants on Zoom, YouTube. So our agenda today actually is not an agenda, and it is a journey. So we will start this journey by drawing the picture of today, where we are, and then we will explore impact, the forgotten power to accelerate SDGs, and impact, intrinsic motivation for persistent act is a clean power, human power to unleash and maximize so that we can better manage climate change challenges. So human power to solve human-made problems. And then we will share some insights, and we will learn from our great panelists. And finally, we will take you to the future. So let's start with what we are at the moment, why we are concerned, what's happening globally around the world, and what we can do to get better. Stephane, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So just want to show some, just starting to share a screen with you. This is a report from the Guardians. Cut the sound because we all have heard things like that in the last few months. This is just 1 month, by the way, in 2021 of extreme weather conditions and all the suffering that happened on the side of that. So yes, it's happening now. We can see it in this Guardian report, but why? It looks like we're talking about just 1.5 C, 2.5 Celsius. It's just the difference between snow and sleet, or wearing a jacket or not, we could say. In our day-to-day life, it might not seem significant, but 2.5 Celsius, even worse, 3 Celsius of global warming would be catastrophic. Heat waves, droughts, extreme precipitation, uncontrollable wildfires. That's what we already start to see, and that's what we'll see more and more towards this 2.5 and plus Celsius. So atmospheric CO2 levels are already at the level they've never been since 3.5 million years. That's huge. And the scary thing is the world is well on its way to the +3 Celsius, which would be even worse than that. Since the Industrial Revolution, the Earth has warmed by something between 1.1 and 1.3 Celsius. And you now see images like that on the screen, just with 1.1 to 1.3 Celsius. So +3 Celsius of warming would be really, really disastrous. We have many other examples of these. I can show some others. So at 1.1 C, people are already facing multiple climate-related impacts, such as the severe droughts and the flooding that you're seeing, the fires, the storms, air pollution increasing, water scarcity, leaving vulnerable populations, especially their children, vulnerable to malnutrition, to disease, and so many other things. According to a recent UNESCO report released just last August, approximately 1 billion children, yes, you've heard correctly, 1 billion with a B, are at an extremely high risk of impact of the climate crisis. It represents almost half of the world's 2.2 billion children. In fact, it's 45%, which are already at extremely high risk. So, quote unquote, extreme risk. Almost every child on Earth is exposed to at least one of the climate and environmental hazards already. These hazards are having devastating impacts on their well-being and on the future of these children. Childhood is a period of extremely high development vulnerability, as you know. Even before birth, acute environmental stressors such as hurricane, wildfires, floods, heat wave can traumatize the mother physically and mentally, and by ricochet their children, especially from birth to 5 and beyond, where they are still highly vulnerable. This is a greatly sad image from a baby girl that is already suffering. But these acute environmental stressors I was talking about are a problem that babies you pass in the street almost everywhere will have to live with. Children born today will have 7 times more likely chance to face these extreme weather, 7 times more than their grandparents. Whether it's direct physical threats like hunger, flood, or storms, or long-term mental health and well-being struggle, they will face those 7 times more. If global temperature do rise by just the 2.5 to the 2.7 degrees C, which is the pathway we're following with the current governmental objectives, So with just following what's the objective right now will lead to that. What would their world look like? Rising sea levels, desertification, unless more drastic measures are taken to stop burning fossil fuel. In some part of the world, the effect of inaction, which are already clear, would get worse. Just recall that the images we saw at the beginning from The Guardian represent a catastrophic event happening within just 1 month with just 1.1 C of global warming, actually. And it was this very year, 2021. So Ayse, maybe you want to add to these incredibly important reasons to take action.
Yes, thank you, Stephane. What I'm hearing is a significant threat to children, our children, but I'm also hearing another threat, and that is to become futureless. And this becoming futureless is not only a threat for our children, but also for our animal friends. So we shouldn't forget our animal friends who were impacted with all these catastrophic events. So when we look at the pictures of victims, children, and animals, what do we see in common? What I can see is they become homeless, and most importantly, they step into an unknown future with many challenges and with pain. And how do we feel when we especially look at the eyes of these victims? It is painful, isn't it? It's very painful. Whenever these catastrophic events happen, we feel compassion, sympathy, and we take actions. We do our best we can. However, by the time passes, our feelings and actions gradually decreases. And this is an unnatural act to our nature, because as John Connolly says, the nature of humanity, its essence is to feel another's pain as one's own and to act to take that pain away. Yes, to act to take that pain away. When we forget about those pain, the victim's pain, then we are disconnected with our authentic selves, our true nature. And actually, each of us and everyone is born with a higher purpose, and that is authentic self. However, by the time we grow up, we disconnect from our authentic selves. So let's remember our childhood pictures. For example, I can share mine. So what do we see when we see our child selves? I can see, for example, mine, I can describe mine as a visionary, lovable, joyful, playful child with specific purpose, heroic childhood purpose about contributing to a happier, joyful, and more hopeful world. Actually, that was the story I was always telling to myself and my friends when I was a child. And everyone, each of us, has own heroic childhood stories, like I want to become a doctor to help patients to find the cure. I want to become a teacher to help kids, and so on, so on. What is in common all these dreams? That is one thing. That is serving humanity, others, and also the world. And I call this oneness. However, when we grow up, we move ourselves away because of many reasons from oneness. And that is why we need to connect again with our authentic selves and then by others through our higher purposes. And impact is the driving force to connect with our authentic selves. So, and this is also the true gateway to greener, healthier, and more peaceful world. And let me explain why impact is the game changer. Today, we talk about carbon emissions, net zero, and industrial act interventions. These are great, but these are all acts. And also, these acts in common signpost to common threats for all of us, what kind of future we will face and what kind of actions should we take. These are also great, but all these are actions and outcomes. And these are just top of the iceberg. What is under the iceberg? If we just have a look at this quote, if you want to build a boat, do not instruct the man to saw wood, stitch the sails, prepare the tools, and organize the work, but make them long for setting sail and travel to distant lands. Yes, willpower is the key. Willpower, in other words, intrinsic motivation is the key. And actually, this is in alignment with what UN General Secretary highlighted in October G20 meeting, saying that if we want real success, we need more ambition. We need more ambition. And intrinsic motivation is the driving force for ambition. And intrinsic motivation is the invisible part of the iceberg. And motivation comes from the Latin word movere, that means movement. Without motivation, we can't have sustainable action and successful outcomes. And of course, there are two types of motivation: intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation. However, intrinsic motivation is the main trigger, because whenever there is an intrinsic motivation, the person passionately takes the action and he is or she is enthusiastic to take that action without any external reward. So very shortly, I will give an example to better understand why intrinsic motivation is important and external rewards or motivation don't work by itself. I was coaching a client who was obese, and also she had diabetes for 20 years, and she knew everything, every consequence of diabetes, being obese, and nothing worked to lose weight. And we started our coaching journey, and during that journey, she found that her intrinsic motivation was to put herself into a nice wedding dress to fit into that wedding dress, even though she was married for 20 years. She discovered that her intrinsic motivation to lose weight was to fit into that dress. And we just have a little bit more dig into intrinsic motivation, and we found out that she wanted to fit into that dress, to take picture with that dress during the ceremony, and to show her grandchildren in future. So, and then gradually she lost some weight and she became overweight, moving from class 2 obese, so seriously obese. So actually, this intrinsic motivation is also used in companies, successful companies, and the companies that are thriving. For example, employees who are passionate about what they are doing, who are engaged in what they are doing, perform better. And extrinsic motivators like promotions and salary rises are always built on intrinsic motivation. However, there is a big but. We mostly forget about intrinsic motivation, the power of intrinsic motivation, when we come to climate change interventions at organizations. For example, let's say that you have a company and you have set up some net zero targets, you are achieving them, they are measurable, all okay. But there's a big but. How about if your employees are driving to workplace, even though they could ride a bicycle or they could walk? They use plastics, and also they don't take care of their food in terms of carbon emissions. So they are not actively and passionately engaged in climate change targets or climate change. So what shall we do? The first step is to understand, explore their intrinsic motivation, employees' intrinsic motivation, and then to build a collective intrinsic motivation and to move from there. For example, if the intrinsic motivation is well-being, then setting up targets together with employees for well-being, which is blended with climate change targets. And for example, if there aren't enough female leaders on the board of your company and people are passionate to become female leaders, then giving opportunities to them to become female leaders while they are creating climate change. So finally, I would like to mention that we need to go beyond, if you can see this, carrot and stick approach, and we need to really integrate intrinsic motivation. So now we will talk about one of the key role players who can implement intrinsic motivation. Stephane.
Thank you, Ayse. So to continue on your point, essentially to unlock and maximize the human power you were just highlighting, impact, we'll need to take it into account human indeed, but also the collective I am, intrinsic motivation, especially in organization. And while there is a huge focus in the world on the biggest businesses and often the largest source of carbon emissions, by the way, to play their role in tackling the problem, smaller businesses, SMEs, are vital too. It might be easier even to connect with impact and create a tsunami of change if we involve them properly. SMEs are the driving force of a huge portion of the economy in the world and represent the vast majority of businesses. According to the International Council of Small Business, the ICSB, SMEs account for 90% of all firms. They make up to 70% of total employment and are responsible of around 50% of the GDP. So these are quite substantial statistics, and they confirm that SMEs collectively have a significant impact on the whole economy, but essentially and also could have a major impact to tackle climate change. SME can shape the destiny of so many local regions. They already do. Millions of people around the world are employed directly or indirectly by them. So being such an integral part of the global economy, and with the decade of action we're in right now towards 2030, the 2030 goals pressing on, it is critical to empower SMEs as much as the individual and as much as the big organization. They can play a pivotal role and a prominent role in making ESGs, conscious ethical decisions, and in advancing the Sustainable Development Goals themselves, the SDGs. Furthermore, many SMEs already have a vital role as part of the supply chain of many large corporations. So they're touching the big corp as well in the global trading network. Their example could quickly spread up to the top. And by the way, here are some examples, and I'll do that quickly because I want to let as much as possible room for our panelists, which are close to be speaking now. So there are 3 goals, sustainable goals we can talk quickly. Goal 3, number 3, is to ensure essentially healthy lives and promote well-being for all. It's a no-brainer that healthy staff are more productive and happier. So it's easy to ask staff what ideas they have for activities that offer them a break, that re-energize them. And Ayse will give us an example of some exercise later on. It's also important to encourage your staff to go further for a lunch walk or any of the things that will motivate them to take action to generate initiatives. And by the way, Nietzsche said that all truly great thoughts are conceived by walking. So encouraging walking to go to work or during the day is definitely twofold. It's important and useful. That will re-energize them during the day, and so many other things that can be done. Goal 13 is another important one. Definitely, it's the one that asks for taking action to combat climate change and its impact. But there are several small things you can do to take responsibility, even at the SME level, for your greenhouse gas emissions. Added to those of your business partners, the supply chain itself, even the competitors and the client, it will make a difference, a big difference. And these things could include having an open attitude to work from home, holding online business meetings, for example, or creating a green travel policy to cut down on staff travel, or to encourage your staff to plant trees at the organization or at home, to reduce waste, energy waste, definitely, and all sorts of waste anyway. Helping them doing simple energy audits to identify how they or the organization itself can save energy, reduce its carbon footprint, which is a main driver of climate change. So that's goal 13. Goal 17, and that's the last I want to talk, even if the others are all important, but goal 17 encourages partnerships for the goal. In my view, collaboration is key for a successful sustainability approach, especially for small organizations. Maybe there is a local charity that your organization is close to and that you could approach for a conversation on how you can support their work. Maybe collaboration with suppliers or clients towards common SDGs could be achieved, and so many other constructive cooperation opportunities can be carried on. However, a consensus remains that few, certainly not enough SMEs are engaged in committing to being sustainable, in taking action, especially. A recent report by the British Business Bank showed that SMEs are collectively responsible for half of the total carbon emissions from UK business. It's in the UK, but many of the outcomes can be representative to other portions of the world. And the study found that 76%, 3/4, are yet to implement a strategy for reducing their impact, with only 3%, just three, measured their carbon, already are measuring their carbon footprint. In the past 5 years, over the last 5 years, we need to help them. We need to establish collaboration. We need to motivate them for the maximum impact. So Ayse, many reasons to push for intrinsic motivation towards the goal.
I totally agree. And yes, intrinsic motivation can be the missing piece for engagement of SMEs, and collaboration, yes, I totally agree, is the key piece. And as Stephane Gómez says, strength lies in differences, not in similarities. So let's hear from our panelists and grow by learning.
Yes, that's the time for that, as I said, and I just put on the chat the list of the panelists which we were presenting earlier. Let's start with questions. And I want to say to the audience first that you can ask questions in the chat still to any or all the panelists and even the host if you'd like in the chat right now. But towards a bit further in the discussion, you will be able to ask them live if you'd like. So as a first question, I will ask to our panelists, just give us in a minute or two some insights on an initiative or a project you want to highlight, and what motivated you to go forward with this endeavor. So maybe we can start with, we'll follow the list I just sent, so with Anna, if you can. just unmute and
hello, everyone. Stephane, would you mind repeating the question? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And it will be good for all the other panelists. It will be the same question. So just give us some insights on an initiative, a project you feel important to talk about, and what motivated you to go forward with this project.
All right. Well, from within WEAll, everything that we are projects or everything that we're organizing, we're always co-creating it with the members of the network. One of the latest ones that it was, I mean, not one of the latest ones, but one of the most important one was released last year, and it was the co-creation of the policy design guide, which it was co-created by more than 70 people from all over the world with different backgrounds, different expertises, and the outcome is the policy design guide. It was the tool, but actually the journey to co-create such a guide, it was very motivational at the same time that it was challenging. Working together with so many people, with so many different interests and backgrounds and motivations, and organizing ourselves, leaving egos outside, being able to bring something that is always going to be much better when co-created with others. It was the journey of co-creating that it motivated us all to put it in action. And the tool that is on our website, everybody can download it, because everything that we do is for everybody to use, is something that is going to continue being developed. So that's probably one of the best examples of collaboration and motivation on building something with so many people, so many different people, that is going to be good for so many others as well, having so many different perspectives. So that was a huge motivation to make something good for a lot of people.
Great insights. Thanks very much, Anna. So now, Cihan, you can do the same thing and outline a project and initiative you want to talk about and the motivation behind. Go ahead.
Thank you for the question, and thanks, Steve, for a great introduction from you and Ayse. Thank you again. Actually, my journey started in 2015 when G20 presidency was held in Turkey. So that time the motto was 3 I's: investment, implementation, and inclusiveness. So that time I was started to work on youth empowerment, women empowerment, and also, like you mentioned, SMEs, their important role in development. And then now myself, I work in a financial services sector and specifically banking, but the company I work for right now, the Industrial Development Bank of Turkey, called TSKB, has a different mission. My bank is providing funds for sustainable development by investing in certain areas such as renewable energy, energy efficiency, gender equality, youth employment, climate smart agriculture, so etc. And my company offers specific team loans in cooperation with development finance institutions to promote shared prosperity and to combat poverty, growing inequality, and also climate change. And my role in the company is to be actively engaged in thematic research on development themes and raise awareness of critical role of SDGs at the public level, and provide guidance to policymakers, businesses, and also individuals to align with their strategies and goals within the development perspective. So that is to say, I conduct quantitative research in the areas considering the development agenda and also structural needs to tackle climate risk and inequality. So I can easily say that the journey has started in 2015 and now is continuing with this position. Thank you.
Great, a lot of work indeed, and thanks very much for that. Now, Dr. CJ Palmer, if you want to highlight a project initiative, and I know you have many, so it will be probably difficult to choose, but I'll let you do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Stephane. And Yes, I'll try to keep this a bit short. Great to meet you all. My name is CJ, and I think in this regard, I think the most important project I'm involved in is Sustainable Impact, which is an online community action-oriented for sustainability. It actually started out with music, with sustainable soundtracks, which is our other leg, using music and other art forms to inspire change and to ignite behavioral change to lead to a more sustainable world, to inspire action, really. But we saw that we needed something else more than music and the arts. So we started working on this online community for sustainability, and it was launched about 18 months ago, and it now has proof of concept. So we're moving, going to move away from the first version as we see that is working nicely all around the world. And my main motivator for this was, and has always been, to see if it's possible to have a more impression of us being united. You know, if there is like a go-to place for sustainability and for climate action and for all the SDGs. So the main motivator was to create a meeting place online, and not exclusively, all about collaboration, obviously, and not reinventing any wheels, but a place where people could meet and engage and inspire each other, like has been said already here, showcase the good example and how we can really inspire each other across the world. And we have seen that happening, and it's very inspiring to me and to the rest of the team here, the core team, to see that people can connect across the world and give each other recommendations and really drive change. So main motivator, obviously, ultimately end goal is to create a more sustainable world where we are, as was said initially as well, where we're also reconnecting to the feeling of belonging together. And when we did the first version of our website and landing page, we worked with this oneness, as you said, I see on the we are all one. So really coming back to that, and sometimes it feels like this world is, it's all about promoting yourself and not taking into account that we live on the same planet and should be working together. So yeah, those are the main motivators for me in that project. Thank you.
An awesome project as well, by the way. So now we have Divya, Professor Divya from Goa. So go ahead with the project initiative and the motivation behind.
Namaste to all of you. And as Stephane said, that I am from Goa Institute of Management, and as a committed member of UN Prime, UNGC, SDSN, and GBSN, we are taking several steps in our institute in the teaching front, research front, outreach. We have two centers specifically. One is catering to the social sustainability aspect, which is Center for Social Sensitivity and Action, which I am leading. And this center incorporates the values of equity, inclusivity, and sustainability in all its activity. The other center, Center of Excellence in Sustainable Development, is generally focusing on the environmental aspect, environmental dimensions of sustainable development. Here, I want to quickly highlight our initiative, Give Goa, which we started 10 years back. Ayse was talking about a very important concern about disconnectedness. And precisely this, because of this disconnectedness, and the B schools are already operating in functional silos, our institute decided to launch a 4-credit course, the highest credit course, where the students, which is based on the service learning pedagogy, students go out and work with the community. They serve the community. So there is an action component, but there is also a reflection component, because learning happens when you reflect on that. So it's a 10-year-long, sort of a decade-long project where every year students go out, work with the community, be it bank, NGOs, government departments, work with farmers, work with self-help groups. So they see the reality, and whatever they have learned in their management courses, they try to implement that. And of course, they learn. So that's the initiative I want to highlight. And of course, the motivator was how we can bring that connectedness, that humility in our students, a perspective in our students.
This
Thank
is
you.
great. Absolutely. Learning, connectivity, reflections, all great insights. Thanks very much, Divya, for that. Nicky Amos from England, what are your perspective, projects, and motivation?
Thank you, Stephane. So I'm hello everybody. I'm co-founder and managing director of a company called Chronos Sustainability. We're a global advisory organization with a fundamental objective of delivering transformative systemic change in the social and environmental performance of key industry sectors. So having worked in a corporate role as global head of corporate responsibility a couple of decades ago, and also working as an individual consultant to many companies and civil society organizations, I recognize that the scale of the impact necessary to really tackle the biggest sustainability challenges would require collective action. And it's bringing the relevant actors together to really address the critical needs and to break down the barriers. So across our business, we work with the finance sector, and the finance sector holds many of the keys to unlocking sustainability outcomes to enable healthy functioning of companies and markets and communities and governments. So we work extensively with the finance sector. We also work with the corporate sector and civil society as who can bring their knowledge and expertise, they can bring their products and their services, their entrepreneurialism and their innovation together to really identify what can be achieved when organizations come together to work in a unified and in a pre-competitive way to delivering transformative change.
Yes, helping organization organize themselves, that's definitely an important thing to do right now. Thanks very much, Nicky. Renahan, that's your perspective from Brazil. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Stephane and Ayse. Well, I think I could go back to 2017 when I gave full support to the São Paulo municipality to implement the packages of governance, policies, and normatives to bring 2030 agenda to the municipality. And what gave me this motivation is how a good management system, a good planning based on real life data, more transparency, less corruption, and more competitiveness, and consequently more prosperity, could bring a new mindset and point of view on how to manage and run and live a big city like this. And the impact is around 4 million people directly on the municipality, and in the metropolitan area is 12 million people around this. So. And we are bringing together here right now all the 240 indicators to manage the city based on that, full linked to the account organization that takes care of the budget of the city here in São Paulo. So I think I can remember this one, and that's it. Thank you so much.
This is great to have the city well organized as well to advance the goals. That's absolutely awesome. Thanks, Renahan. And now Roshan, I know you're working on diversity a lot. That's the core, but you might have a specific initiative or project you want to highlight, and the motivation behind as to the others. So go ahead. Pleased to have you here.
Thank you, Stephane. So yes, so my name is Roshan Kindred, and I am the Chief Diversity Officer for PagerDuty, but I am also a social activist. And so what really brought my motivation forth is, as a business leader, as a DEI practitioner, we do a lot of outward engagement in international territories, and I helped an individual set up a school in Kenya. And we were addressing food insecurities and the lack of education. And when I went back to work and I started thinking about what is it that I could do with the practice and the experience that I have, and that was to truly create a sustainable organization and world where human beings and the world would be healed. You know, we deal with one another, but we're also on this earth. And if we don't, as individuals, organizations, and collective companies, do something to help climate change, we won't have a world to sustain. So it really drove me to think about, how do I intertwine what I do on a daily basis with what is going on in the world? And so at PagerDuty, I am very intertwined and work collectively with our VP of Social Governance. And so PagerDuty is a incident response organization. It's a SaaS organization. And so we're looking at ways to leverage our technology to indicate instances where the climate is changing or world disaster is changing, and how we can help with employment, how we can help with the social communities and municipalities to get an awareness of what's going on, and also to build up a program to how we respond to those incidences. So very excited to be here and talk a little bit more.
Thank you very much. And we're excited to have you here as well. Definitely. Thanks for these insights. Now I will let Ayse ask a couple of questions which are related to what we discussed a bit earlier. And go ahead, Ayse, your turn.
Yeah, thank you, Stephane. So this time we will go from the reverse order, if you don't mind. So Roshan, you mentioned you would like to talk more. So if I may ask, I would like to start from you and asking, where do you see the big challenge at accelerating sustainability goals in your field, and how can mPact help to solve these challenges? And if you would like to share maybe one action you can take. So
I'll start with the action. You just have to get involved. You have to find out where your intrinsic motivations are, and then use those to fill your ambition to make change. Change is everywhere. Change is needed everywhere. So you can start, in your local municipalities, your local organizations, and then scale that as you go. And what you'll find is, as you start to be a change agent and create impact, you will find the organizations that will partner with you. I think for myself, when I think about, from a DEI lens, what are the biggest challenges? I think when we start going into underrepresented populations, or populations where you are housed insecure, or there are food insecurities, it's talking about climate change that impacts them. So making sure the message is intrinsic towards their need and the outcomes that they can do in order to make and take change, even in a maybe a poverty situation, even in a situation where there are obstacles, there are still things that we can do to help save the earth, and so help sustainability. From a technology lens, I think that the opportunities are boundless. I look at the amazing things that PagerDuty does, and how we're looking to apply our intricate network to how incidences around the world are being stood up. That's just, one organization of 750 people. You look at other organizations such as Microsoft or Salesforce, they have the tools to connect people on how to move very swiftly. And so I look and challenge those in technology to come up with ways that, ESG and sustainable development really can be impactful, but timely, because that is the key. We don't have time to waste. It's the one variable we can't get back. So.
Thank you. Those are great insights. Yes, we need to start with being ourselves as change agents, and then from organizational level, from small to large organizations. So Renahan, if I may ask you the same question. So where do you see the big challenge at accelerating SDGs in your field? How can mPact help to solve this challenge? And also maybe one action you will take or you can take.
Oh, yes, the big challenge. Well, we are talking about sustainable development, We are talking about the development agenda, an integrative development agenda. So sustainable development as it is, we need technology, we need people. And one of the big challenges is to elevate the people's consciousness, in my point of view, and act more, not only multidisciplinary, but in an interdisciplinary way, connecting more the governments, the society, not the social organizations, but the society and the private sector properly. So I think this is a big point in this challenge. We are fighting for that on a daily basis. And from my side, I've been in conversations on the United Nations Global Compact Network, for example, to connect more companies on that vision, talking with business associations, local business associations, to connect SMEs, for example, in this vision, and talk with youth, because we need to pass through all of this and give to the youth in a properly way a planet that they could manage, even with the most complex scenarios that they will receive. So this is a point that I keep in my mind every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Renahan. Those are great points, especially conscious collective action. So Nicky, again, if I may ask you the same question, where do you see the big challenge at accelerating sustainability development goals in your field? And how can mPact help to solve these challenges? And maybe one action you would like to share?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, it's about being part of the solution. Everyone has a role to find, their way of contributing something towards sustainable development. And, for an SME, for example, it's really important to be in tune and understand what are the sustainability priorities of your customers and how can your products and services help to contribute to more sustainable outcomes. What can you do through your supply chain? How can you engage your suppliers in understanding and working collectively towards a more sustainable outcome? And then as an employer, what are you doing to build a more sustainable business, not just in terms of the products and services that you produce, but also the type of company that you're creating? How are you ensuring your own corporate well-being? How are you ensuring the good, positive mental health of your own employee base in ensuring that you are a high-functioning, high-performing company? I think it's all too daunting and depressing to think that these challenges are far too big and complex for an individual or an individual business to take on. But there is always something, and I think it is understanding, where is the opportunity and what are the particular skills, knowledge and experience that you can bring to supporting these aims in a more collective and collaborative way.
Those are great points, Nicky. Thank you. Divya, would you like to share your points?
Yeah, thank you. So I think we will not be able to achieve sustainable development if our students, the youth, is not sensitized towards these grand challenges. They are the future leaders. So their active participation towards Agenda 2030 is very important. And I see the big challenge is still, because I belong to from Management Institute, so still management education is operating in functional silos. We need to seriously think beyond mere functional silos. We need system thinking approach. And I think mPact can help there by providing more experiential projects, connect with the business leaders who are seeing profit and purpose together, and engage them in the meaningful process of analyzing, teaching and learning. And I think one action which my institute has taken, we are a living lab. So when we talk about social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and economic sustainability, we are demonstrating, we are walking the talk, we are being through our organizational practices, be it solar power, or be it our waste management, or be it our water conservation system, or be it our diversity in our recruitment. By every single thing, we are learning and we are demonstrating to our students. So that's what I can say in very short.
Thank you. Yeah, learning by demonstration and live example, that's very important. So how about may I ask you, Gigi?
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah, sure. Thank you. So I may take this from a slightly different angle. These are all great insights and observations, but to me, it's the main challenge that I see, and I'm not sure how to define my field at the moment, but it's the behavior. How do we behave, and why do we do the things that we do, and what has led us up to sort of behave the way we do. And I sometimes still find myself in a grocery shop with all these great fruits and great veggies coming from around the world that they've been transported here for, I don't know, weeks or months, and God knows how much CO2 has been consumed to take this mango to Sweden or this orange. And I still find myself looking at these items sometimes, and although I've been sort of had this mind shift, I would like to say, and this mindset for decades, but it's still sort of thought challenging how this still affects me and probably then other people who want to do the right thing, but still wind up in a very what do you call consumptuous. You consume a lot of things, and we're born into a world where consumption is very much stimulated. So I think behavioral change to me is one of the main key solutions here as well. Technology was mentioned before, and of course we need technology, but I, on the other hand, also think that we have a lot of technology. We have electric cars, and we have wind farms, and we have a lot of things already in place, but it's like we are not using them as much as we could, I think, and that could to some extent slow down the sustainability transition, or not make it go as fast as it could. So behavior, human behavior, I think is key, and to my action points, since I have a sort of a soft spot for music then and arts, I think the arts and music could play a major role in communicating and raising awareness and stimulating action here. So I would focus on music and the arts to which I think have a great potential to grow bigger in the transition as well. Thank you.
Thank you, CG. So I totally agree. Behavioral change is the key, and human behavior is really important. Now, may I ask your points, Cihan, Urhan?
Yeah, sure. As Stephane says, very, very insightful thoughts, and that's amazing to be here. So I'd like to talk about some green recovery. We all, leaders, financial institutions, NGOs, academia, or women, men, youth, are always using the words green recovery. But so what is green recovery? If I'll try to explain in short, it's the name given to a series of economic recovery measures aligned with achieving long-term climate change and sustainability objectives. But these objectives and initiatives should be more resilient and inclusive. I reckon this point is really, really critical. We are aware of moving to transformative environmental policies is an urgent action to adapt to changing climate condition and to come up with practical solution. But in the meantime, we have to do it fairly and without leaving anyone and any country behind. I would like to underline this fact. For example, as the demand of green technology increasingly grows, the introduction of new technologies has accelerated the rise in productivity at the expense of the number of jobs. So these transformations nudge the employment opportunities and may create an overqualified labor force to work in low-skilled jobs in the digitalized work environment. So, for example, the ILO study skills for green sectors concludes that in the absence of policy interventions, the energy transition will likely create less employment opportunities for women and youth. And they are already disproportionately affected climate change. So this is a pressing issue about social cohesion. Furthermore, global warming has been increasing global economic inequality. World Bank estimated an additional 86 to 125 million people could be pushed into poverty by 2030 just because of climate change. And we should be aware of that, even though the effects of climate change are global and their projected impacts concern every area in the world, climate risk disproportionately affect the poorest countries and people. In the poorest economies, a large part of the population depends directly on activities that may be the most affected by climate change, notably the agricultural, forestry, and fishery sectors. And what is more, as Stephane mentioned, macro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, provide 70% of all jobs, but don't have enough access to resources. That fact makes them particularly vulnerable to the climate crisis, with the severity increased for those in the least developed countries. International Trade Center survey revealed that the pandemic has strongly affected nearly 2/3 of MSMEs, compared with about 40% of large companies. So the question was, how can impact help solve the challenge? So I might say, in that sense, impact should keep reminding the fact that in every area, the extent of support for SDGs varies considerably, and flag for green recovery strategies must be human-centered through the pursuit of social justice. And yesterday, I joined the Gender and Climate Nexus event in COP26, and all panelists have drawn attention that comprehensive quantification methods and systematic collection of data on climate are needed, particularly for private actors to move forward with the required low carbon investments. So impact can incentivize and promote to develop climate sensitive data to design more effective climate policies. And for me, I mentioned that inaction and uncoordinated action on climate change will put jobs and productivity at risk, especially for youth and movement or low-skilled people. So that's why my company and myself make much of that social dialogue between governments, development finance institutions, and private sectors will be essential to build the consensus needed to achieve a successful and sustainable recovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Those are very important. So, Anna, finally.
Hi. Well, apologies because I didn't introduce myself before I jump into the project question. So I am Anna, and I am the network lead for WEAll, for Wellbeing Economy Alliance. We are a global collaboration of different organizations, movements, networks, and individuals who are working towards a well-being economy that is actually taking care of the well-being of the planet and the people. And as the network lead, and this is related to the action point, the action question, I try to bring under the umbrella of WEAll all the key actors who are working towards that system change, towards a well-being economy, because it's in the togetherness that we believe the change is going to be happening. When looking at the system in a holistic way where everything is connected. So WEAll directly is not focused on the SDGs. I need to tell you in advance. Within the network, there are many of our members who are actually working towards and putting focus on the SDGs, but actually they have joined WEAll because they want to have a wider and broader image of and the way of looking at the economy, of looking at the system that is actually causing many of the inequalities and the damage that is done to this planet. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we are encountering is that it's not easy to look at the economy without those silos that some of my colleagues here have already mentioned. We need to look at all those silos and how they are interconnected with each other if we want to change the system. So is actually that what we are putting the focus within WEAll, and that's why we need everyone to get involved with us and us with everyone, from local to global, global to local, because this is the only way that we are going to be able to see things being done in a different way. Segmented things are not going to take us to the goal of changing the economic system that we have right now. So the togetherness, the interconnectivity, looking at the economy in a holistic way, it would be my message. I don't want to spam over that.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was a great insight. And sorry, that was me asking the question a bit too bluntly as when you started the first time. So it was okay to present yourself correctly. So we now open to the audience if there are some questions that can be coming from the people in the room. That's the time to do it if you'd like. And so I'll let a minute or two for people to jump in if they'd like. Not a minute, but a few seconds. Anyway, I have something that I can ask to our panelists anyway, which is towards the audience. What will be your 1-minute message to the audience? If you had only one chance giving a message to the audience or to the world, essentially, what would it be right now? So rather than following a list, I will ask you, panelists, just to raise your hand if you want to go forward with a quick message, key items. You have highlighted so many important things and insights earlier, but what would be this message? Anyone want to jump in? Yes, Divya, you can go ahead.
The professors can always speak for 90 minutes at least nonstop. Anyways, so I think I will quote Mahatma Gandhi: "The future depends on what you do today." So COVID-19 crisis is not just the health crisis, it is a humanitarian crisis. And this crisis has taught us, if we wish to see the change, inclusive growth and sustainable development, we need to join hands, which Ayse was talking in the beginning of our session. Partnership, collaboration, system thinking, that's the way to bring the systemic change. We need to unlearn. We need to rethink, re-energize, redesign, and relearn. We need to cultivate passion. We need to cultivate compassion and work with passion. I think, passion and compassion, if we go with that, I am really hopeful that we would see a fair, more fair, just and net positive world. Thank you.
Thank you.
A great point. So, Renahan, you have a message to carry on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had 2 points to mitigate any misunderstanding. I didn't answer the Ayse question about how mPact could promote to help the challenges with SDG, because in my point of view, first of all, I want to understand that we need to equalize the wills and the intrinsic motivation to canalize and focus this energy and the actions. This is the most important thing, because we need to respect all the wills and all the intrinsic motivations. So that's why I didn't answer, but it's a wonderful point to ask. And about the message, well, in the ecological threat register from Institutes for Economics and Peace, the last great finding of the report is that the ecological threats are correlated with high levels of violence. This is due to systemic dynamics whereby the depletion of resources and violent disputes reinforce one another, form a vicious cycle. So I agreed with Divya, and I tell you that this great effort, the holistic view that Anna said, we need to put this in track in a more effective way, connect people. Dalai Lama said, oneness. I really like the Mr. Gandhi too. Thank you, Divya, for that. And great compassion link us to a great expression of love, and we need that in this moment, with high level of skills and intellectual working together in this high level complex world. Thank you.
Absolutely, Renahan. Compassion and connection. So I think, Michelle, in the room, you've opened your video. Would you like to ask a question? Yes, you can go ahead, and the other panelists will add to their afterwards. So just go ahead if you have a question.
Great, thank you so much. I am just very curious, as a small business, as corporate social responsibility leader in a smaller business, we have a very large customer base. So how do any of you have examples of how to take some of these wonderful things that you're saying and kind of push it on into our retail customers without overwhelming them, not disrupting the flow of the regular business. But I think that there's a huge opportunity for many retailers who have such a big impact on our customer base.
Good question. Someone wants to jump in giving insights or an answer to that? Yes, Renahan. Oh, okay. Sorry. I just saw the Renahan raising his hand, but Nicky, you'll be just after Renahan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Nicky
go ahead.
first.
Oh,
No.
okay. So
No,
you have the
Renahan.
first.
Go first.
Go ahead, Nicky.
Okay. Well, thank you for your question. I mean, I think the key thing here is to find the synergy. So where is there the overlap between what is important to your customers and what your organization stands for through your products and services? Because then you're not really trying to sort of work against a strong current. You're really working with the customers to say, okay, we can actually work with you, we can help you, we can support you, we can work on this together. So understand better through your customers, if you can, what their priorities are. Most companies are very transparent in disclosing what their sustainability priorities are, and it may be key SDGs, it may be certain initiatives or programs that they are focusing a lot of their efforts on. So they may have a sustainable development strategy in a particular area of their business. So I would do a little bit of research to understand, what are your customers focusing on, and then start the conversation with them, because most customers do rely on their supply chain. They rely on their entire network, but they will be very keen to hear from those suppliers like yourselves who are, share a similar interest, but you can also offer your skills, knowledge, your services, your products to become part of that solution as well. So that's just one suggestion from me.
Great suggestion, Nicky. So Renahan, you graciously left your place earlier, so you want to add to this?
Oh, well said, Nicky. That's it. And I just want to mention to conduct clear dialogues inside and outside your company. I think it's not transparency. It's just to be fair, and working together to find the solutions and the better package design to protect our environment, and the best way to reduce emissions, and to give a secure place for the employees, for example, and for the workers that work in the supply chain, not only internal but external too, looking for an holistic view of the whole supply. So that's it. And Nicky was amazing. Thank you.
So great answers. So I hope it serves what you were asking, Michelle. We have another panelist, CJ, that would like to give a message to the audience and to the world. If you have, by the way, if other on the audience wants to ask questions, just do like Michelle did. That was greatly done. So go ahead, CJ.
Yes, thank you. I don't know how we are with time, Stephane, because it's not super necessary for me to speak. So if there is anything else, I could not do that as well.
No, go ahead, CJ.
Okay.
And I think Michelle will come back with a question afterwards. But go ahead, CJ. That's
okay.
your turn.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an echo chamber here. So many great things were said from the other panelists before, touching on this subject on sort of if you had 1 minute, what would you say? But as you hear, I'm coming back to what Divya and others said as well about compassion and relationships. It's if at least I look around myself, everything I have, it comes from this planet, and every privilege that I've had going through life so far sort of stems from the planet that we have. So one thought is to apply the same kind of compassion and love to that most of us have, to our close relationships, to our loved and dear ones, to try to treat, Mama Pacha or our mother nature in a more maybe a thoughtful way, with preferably a higher level of consciousness, going back again to, do I need to do this? Do I need to take this journey? Can I swap some of my habits for some more planet friendly habits, or socially more better habits? So compassion and thoughtfulness and being conscious about your choices, I guess, on an everyday basis, that is very difficult, because we're many of us are creatures of habits, but if that's possible to do through practice, I guess, then I think we could accomplish fantastic things in the field of sustainability, including all the SDGs. So compassion and thinking about relationships to the planet, and thoughtfulness, and considering our choices every day. Thank you.
Thoughtfulness, an important word, important thing as well. Renahan, you want to add something before? I think, Michelle, you had a second question, but Renahan, is it before, or is it part of?
No,
Okay.
it's just to finalize.
Okay.
Sometimes an SME look for the big companies and big solutions. So there's no big and small. That in a realistic point of view, there is an intention. If you have the intention, you have the minds, you have the skills, you have the hearts, just connect people and do it. Okay, and there's no way to do sometimes alone. So connect with networks like people that we are looking here, and businesses not only similar to yours, but other kind of business. The important is find the solutions and adapt to your reality.
Great point. Michelle, you had a second question just to ask, or am I right or wrong? No. Okay. So I think we just the last call, if others would like to come with a message. If not, we have other things, and I will give the microphone back to Ayse to continue. So, okay, hearing none, Ayse, it's your turn to come back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So those are all great insights, and we learned from each other. That's great. Now we will move to section C, that is future. So that will be a very, very quick exercise. We will all have a quick exercise. This is a very powerful visualization exercise I use during my coaching, but I will just have 2 minutes as a taster, because otherwise we don't have time. I would love to. So you can turn off your videos if you want, but what I would like for you is to close your eyes and to sit straight. Okay, so I will just turn off my light. Okay, if everyone is ready and happy. So take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Hold it. Take a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Hold it. Take a deep breath out. While you are breathing in, sense all the energy surrounding you. Sense all the energy surrounding you while you are breathing in and breathing out. Now you are in the space, in the darkness, in the wholeness. And you are in the space, wholeness, and darkness. You see a giant, big energy, lovely energy, just in front of you. Walk towards that. Walk towards that. And now you are getting closer and closer and closer to that giant, lovely energy. Tune into that energy, tune into. And now you are in 2040. You are now in 2040 and you are on a helicopter. You are seeing a greener, happier world. You can breathe very fresh, lovely air through your nose. You can breathe in lovely, fresh, energized air through your nose. You can hear all the cheerful sounds, voices of children, people, and also animals. That's a peaceful, greener world. And now you land on the ceremony hall and everybody is celebrating you because you achieved your 2040 goal. You achieved your 2040 goal. What is it? What did motivate you to achieve that goal? I will give you 10 seconds to visualize that moment and to feel your motivation. Just 10 seconds. And now I want you to feel all that moment. People are celebrating you, your success, and you are in a greener, safer, and happier world. How do you feel? How you are connected? Just for 10 seconds, feel it with all your senses, with all your senses. And now think to that moment and tune out from that moment and 2040 and slowly come back to today. Take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and gently open your eyes. Welcome back to 2021. So now we are in 2021, and when we take our children to museum, we show dinosaurs to them, which went to extinction. So how about 2040? What will happen, or 2075? What we will show to our children? Dinosaurs or trees that went on extinction actually in the museums? And so what kind of future do we want for our children? Trees in museum or the future that you have just visualized 10 seconds ago? So which future? The future you visualized already, or the future where trees are in the museum and went to extinction? So while we talked about extinction, and let's watch a very meaningful video, and then we will watch a lovely song from CG. So this is really fun. You will see what is extinction. Okay, technical problems, but it always happens. It's all okay. Okay, if you want, you can click the link, Stephane, if that doesn't work. Okay, by the way, while we are waiting technical issues to be solved, maybe you want to share your insights on what kind of future Oh, okay, it's working. Now I was thinking. Oh, okay.
No, still not working, I say. Sorry for that. We can
okay,
switch to
what
the other.
kind
I'll
of
try.
feature you want? So maybe you can share your insights. Okay. Otherwise, I will share it through my screen. Just a moment. But this is the video I really impressed when I first watched. And just a moment. Okay, I will share my screen. Okay. Okay, now we can watch that one because I don't want anybody to miss this. This is really great video.
There is no sound, I see. So there is a problem with the sound.
Okay, sorry. No sound. Yeah, I made my usual mistake. Don't. I will never learn this share sound. Sorry. Okay, one more. Thank you.
You okay? You need a minute? Cool. Okay. Listen up, people. I know a thing or two about extinction. And let me tell you, and you'd kind of think this would be obvious, going extinct is a bad thing. And driving yourselves extinct? In 70 million years, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. At least we had an asteroid. What's your excuse? You're headed for a climate disaster, and yet every year governments spend hundreds of billions of public funds on fossil fuel subsidies. Imagine if we had spent hundreds of billions per year subsidizing giant meteors. That's what you're doing right now. Think of all the other things you could do with that money. Around the world, people are living in poverty. Don't you think helping them would make more sense than, I don't know, paying for the demise of your entire species? Let me be real for a second. You've got a huge opportunity right now. As you rebuild your economies and bounce back from this pandemic, this is humanity's big chance. So here's my wild idea. Don't choose extinction. Save your species before it's too late. It's time for you humans to stop making excuses and start making changes. Thank you.
Okay, so we are back.
Yes, so the next step would be to present the other video we wanted to highlight. This one should be working, so sorry for that. This the video from UNDP is absolutely awesome. Another awesome video is one which was, in fact, the song was co-written by CJ Palmer. If you want to add a couple comments before we start it, you can definitely do, CJ, and with your colleague, Mr. Ingemar Bitton-Haberg. Say this is part of a project which is called We Don't Have Time, and I can start it right away. And if CJ, you want to add before or whenever, you just let us know.
Yeah, I could just say a few words. So this is a song that we wrote a couple of years ago. We were requested by the Swedish climate organization. We Don't Have Time to do a pop song with their name, and they liked the demo. So we were asked to do a music video as well. So this to us is one example in many throughout history, of course, of how music and the arts could play an interesting role. And of course, there is spin-offs and interesting facts about this release that I may not have time to go into right now, but it took off in different kind of climates. Fields and climate events, especially during that winter, and it's great to see choreography coming in from all over the world, and kids are dancing to it, like 400 people on stage in a school in Canada, and you get this kind of feedback that it's working. We knew that, of course, but we're just happy to be part of raising awareness and stimulating action, and so it was an interesting, fun project, and we have more of those lined up, and trying to make even more impact and have more effects with the coming releases. So yes, thank you.
Great. So without further ado, we'll let whoops.
Each one teach one. Listen, listen, there's a distant sound. Yeah. Coming closer soon, it's all around. It's all around. Hear me, time is running out. Come on. Come on, tell them what it's all about. We're running out of time, running out of air. Gotta keep it clean, show me you care. Wherever you are, you gotta wake up. Come on. We got a job to do, so stand up. Salute life, not the general. Play fair, with your morals. We can be united as the nations. For our planet, running out of patience. We ain't got no time. Come on. We don't have time. So we don't have no time now. We don't have time. So we don't have no time now. Yeah. Time to act, we got a world to save. Right or wrong now, how will you behave? Come on. Do the right thing as they used to say. More than ever, that is true today. Listen, you wanna be part of the solution? Switch it up for future generations. Level up, stop wasting. You wanna know if that's water that you're tasting? Stop playing with our future. My daughter told me if our planet dies, then how will you console me? Show me some responsibility. That's right, y'all, we don't have time to ignore the signs. We can't ignore it no more. We don't have time. You gotta make it right now. Make it happen right now.
We kids don't usually do what you tell us to do. We do what you do. And since you adults don't give a damn about my future, I won't either.
Together we can do it.
We don't have time to wait.
Come on, let's go. You ain't got no time now to ignore the signs no more. Hear me, it's a final call. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? To ignore the signs no more. So we don't have no time now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's a final call. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? We don't have time. We don't have time. 'Cause we don't have time. This one goes out to planet Earth. We don't have time. We don't have time.
So quite a nice song to conclude this event. It's absolutely awesome, CJ. So great. We're close to our final thing. So this is just for me to stop sharing here. Maybe Ayse, you wanted to give some words, and I'll do some. But if someone in the panelists wants to give some final insights or words, that would be the time. We're close to the closure statements. Okay.
Well, I'll quote CJ. We don't have time, and
Absolutely.
so we absolutely have to get involved. We have to get engaged. We've got to connect with other people who share like-minded ideas of how we get things done and how we bring about real impactful change. CJ, that song is just amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. I would have not said it better. Thank you, Roshan. Someone else, or Ayse, you
I
can.
just wanted to add to that. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for that song. See, it was really, really beautiful, really inspiring. And just adding to what just Roshan said, I think we're together in this, and we cannot forget that we are together in this, and we need to pass the message to everyone else.
Absolutely. Nicky, you want to add something?
Just to echo what everyone has said so far, thank you, CJ, for such a compelling video and song that will stay with us. I suppose my message is that we have to believe that it is within our power as a human race to use our collective knowledge, our wisdom, our experience, and our know-how to act to restore balance in the world.
Absolutely. Great words. Okay. I think that's it. I see you wanted to say something before the end, or?
Yeah, those are great messages and great insights. So thank you very much. So, and hopefully we will move forward by collaboration. And so that's great. And maybe we would like to also invite you to our LinkedIn forum for SDGs so we can continue on collaboration. That is on the chat actually. And also we are planning to have another talk in December, TEDx talks, and we will inform you, and we would like to also see there. So we would like this one, not one action and that's it. We want collaboration in every terms, continue to have impact in the world.
Absolutely. And if I may, the scale of change which is needed and the slow progress that governments and countries have done so far means that the 3 degrees C of warming is uncomfortably likely unless more is done. So that's why we need to increase efforts, taking action, motivating for persistent action that needs to go up to towards the goal. And it's why working continuously, collectively, including rather than excluding groups from the smaller to the bigger communities or organization, it's absolutely important. And we really appreciate your contribution today, participation, sharing, exchange. That was awesome. We need to all act, to continue to act for a clearer and a cleaner future. And there is still time, but we need to take action now. We need to impact now. So thanks for watching. Thanks for participating. And see you in the next TEDx event, as Ayse just said.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephane.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
You
you.
are amazing. You all.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Be safe and well.